Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 1 of our second series for the day. We have, up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the yellow Terran player. Give it up for Cray Squad's Jason, who is already dealing with an initial probe. And look at, oh boy, this is we got a pylon going down, so we'll be quick about this. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map with a forge. Give it up for Slayer's Boner, aka Caliber, as far as I'm aware. But we got a cannon rush against a Terran player. What on earth are we watching? I thought we were watching Caliber. I didn't think we were watching Print F over here. Man, so we got the photon cannon already going down the low ground, and Jason, he's got enough SCVs to deal with the pylon on the high ground. It seems like his objective is going to be try and kill off the probe and shut down high ground vision. I don't know how well this is going to work, though. Probe getting very low on health right now. It's getting solo. It's going to get taken out. There is no additional probe that's making its way across the map, but the cannon finishes up. A Marine on the high ground is going to try and take out this photon cannon. If he takes out this photon cannon, he can try and bunker up, try to just prevent any additional probes from getting up to the high ground and completely shut down this push-in. A Nexus goes up behind this of all things. Oh my god, we are kicking off this game in absolutely no time. SCV is being pulled to make sure that this cannon does not finish up because he knows the Marines are going to get focused right down. Really nice focus fire over there from Slayer's Boner because he knows that the Marine is not going to be the first target priority. Pylon now going to get focus fired down, and we do not have a gateway or anything, so Slayer's Boner cannot really do a whole lot more to contest his cannon rush. This was an interesting attempt. I don't know how this is going to work out because you have to remember, Slayer's Boner didn't exactly cut a lot of workers to do that cannon rush. He cut a few, but he's not drastically far behind. And look at how much faster his natural expansion is. The biggest problem I see, and I almost wish that we ended up seeing Jason go for, was if there was just a Reaper, there'd be nothing. There'd be nothing for Slayer's Boner at all. I don't think he would be able to win the game if there was a Reaper made that jumped down on this side of the cliff, maybe hopped down and around, moved around that photon cannon, walked its way across the map, and he would have either A, gotten scouting out about the gateway and the cybernetics core and I guess the follow-up all in, or B, he would have just won the game as it would have happened right now because there's nothing there to deal with that. Alright, but we do have additional gateways going down, going up to 2 gateways, not producing an early zealot or anything. And there was a fast tick up to the factory, even getting out of starport. So this is maybe one of the kind of things that Slayer's Boner is banking on right now. He's banking on Jason overreacting to this. And I am a little bit concerned about that potentially happening. Command center is going up behind all this, and the cannon wasn't in range of where the command center would be placed. Not that it matters. You could just place it a little bit further off over here or something and re-lift it and land it in the correct position later. But is this kind of push-in really going to be super effective? This is a really scary thought, though. Siege Tank coming out. Once he unsupply blocks himself with the command center, he'll have a medevac out, and we could actually have Siege Tank medevac, a flying tank evac, harassing a Protoss player that doesn't even have more than 2 gateway units. That is a really scary thought. Protoss player that won't have, okay, he does have a mothership core. He's making his way across the map. Oh, this is interesting. We even have Jason pulling some SCVs right now, and he's cut worker production. Mothership Core is going to scout out all the Marines moving back, and he's immediately thinking, oh boy, I better get my Mothership Core back home, and I better pull back this one Stalker. The other Stalker is going to also try and pull its way back, try and do maybe a little bit of micro from 2 different angles. He's going to try and pick away at those Marines. He does outrange the Marines and move a little bit faster, so he can do continuous damage to them, but with Photon Overcharge available, I don't really know how much damage can really be done over here. A Liberator is being made, and the Siege Tank is going to be so important alongside that medevac. This is going to be the key critical component for Jason's pushing over here, is this Siege Tank being able to siege up, maybe trying to get into a position where the Stalkers and the Photon Overcharge are not really going to be able to hit it. A Stargate was made, and he's going to be trying to make a Phoenix right now. The Phoenix could work out if he lifts up the Siege Tank or even tries to pick off the medevac. This could do something nice, and I love the Cyclone. Cyclone's going to be able to pick away at those pylons, and once those pylons are gone from the front line, guess what? There's no Photon Overcharges available in the immediate future. The Photon Overcharge is going to be way further back over here, and these Marines don't need to move that far in to deny mining completely. Behind this, Jason is getting up his own natural expansion and starting to mine from it. Stargate is going to be taken out as well. Liberator in the mix to make things even more difficult. I mean, Slayer's Boner over here is trying to warp in as many Adepts and Zealots and stuff as possible, but now he gets to start warping in these Stalkers to deal with the Liberator. This is just a flurry of units that but Slayer's Boner just doesn't have enough time to get up all the different answers to. He's having to pull the probes. Probes getting a really nice round, but look at this. There's a bunker over here. A retreating safety bunker is going to be able to keep at least a couple of these Marines alive. A Stalker comes from the backside. I love this play as it is absorbing some of the siege tank shots, and he may even be able to take it out. No. Stalker gets taken out by the increased range of that bunker and the Marines inside of it. The Phoenix stays alive and is trying to get some more damage done, but somehow Slayer's Boner still manages to hold on. He loses 15 workers, but is that too much damage? I'm not entirely sure. Adepts could shade on top of the siege tank, but the medevac would just end up picking it up, and this is the problem. Look at this. We have all these Adepts over here. Oh, Phoenix lifts up the siege tank. That's nice. He can take out the bunker maybe and try and take out any Marines that are coming in. Another siege tank joins in the fray, but there's just too much damage that's been taken. I feel like Jason has gotten too big of a lead, even if somehow Caliber manages to clean this up. A third command center is being taken behind this. More siege tanks are being made, and this doesn't even look like it's going to get cleaned up immediately because, yeah, the medevac is going to be taken out with a siege tank as well, and another siege tank should be taken out by the mothership core, but this is it. There's no way that you can recover from this unless you get out some ridiculous playmaker units. You get out the Dark Templar, you get out the Disruptors, you get out something that can completely turn the tide of this game. And that's exactly what Caliber needs. He needs some Hail Mary, some playmaker that can bring him back into this. Stalkers are going to be making their way across the map, and it's worth noting that Stim is only just now starting, so that is one nice little advantage. There's no blink on these Stalkers, unfortunately. Blink would have been very, very helpful. If you had blink Stalkers, that could have been a big playmaker. You blink around, maybe even get some good pickoffs on the siege tanks and blink out. But now, he's already losing all the shields, immediately taking more than just shield damage now. Mothership Core could try and maybe do some light harassment on the mineral line with the air attack. But no, it's going to get completely denied. Looks like two more workers ended up going down somewhere. I'm not even sure where. Chronib is just going down on the warp gates because I think Caliber knows he can't even really afford to produce additional workers. He's got to go all in off of this. Throwing down a Twilight Council, pulling back all the way home because he knows, well, I better be prepared for another drop harassment or anything else that could be popping out. Well, he does have the Phoenix. That's still nice. He lost the Stargate earlier on, but keeping the Phoenix alive at least gives him an option to, one, deal with Liberator harassment, which can definitely be very annoying on this map with this giant airspace right behind the natural, but also taking out any medevacs they get a bit too over aggressive, maybe just a Widow Mine drop or something along those lines. The game is calming down, and there is maybe a little bit of concern that Jason would just sit back for too long, allow Caliber to get up those quote-unquote playmaker units that turn the tide of a game. But that's not happening. Jason is a well-experienced GM, high GM player, and he knows that he just needs to push across the map and make sure he does not give Caliber the breathing space that he wants. Caliber tries to take a third expansion. There's no way that that will get up unless Jason just tries to push it at the front, and he's unsuccessful for some reason. Nice Guardian Shield is going to be absorbing a lot of the damage from these Marines, and it's not getting focus fire down. The Adepts also taking some pretty good trades over here. Is this the engagement that Caliber needed? The siege tanks are able to do some good damage, but the Phoenix lifts up one of those siege tanks, definitely cuts down on a lot of the DPS, and even though the siege tanks survive, the next round of warp ins from a couple of Adepts may be able to deal with this. Caliber may have been able to do exactly what he needed. He doesn't have a work account to fall back on quite yet, but losing the Mothership Core, losing more of the Adepts, it may just not be enough. Dancing the probes. I think that Caliber knows what's happening over here as he loses the last of his remaining units, and that's going to cause him to tap out pretty soon. He knows that it's over at this point. GG gets called, and Jason taking game number 1 in this best of 3 series in the round of 32. All right, well, with the 1-0 lead for Jason, Caliber is up against the ropes, but it's worth noting that game started off with a cannon rush. That was a huge risk, and any player like Caliber, who, by the way, is not a bad player, just to give you guys a bit more information on this guy, he is a former random player, as you guys can see. I have the image for Terran over there, just ignore that. He is not, in fact, a Firebat or a Marauder. He is a random player, but now plays Protoss. He mains Protoss. Galactic Process is going to be the next map. So we'll go ahead and get that game made. But he is a decent player. He is $85 total prize money. Doesn't really tell the tale. He was a former Root Gaming player. Was fairly well known for being one of the most successful, I guess, foreigner random players. There's, of course, the other random players out there, like, what was it? Not Bubble. Balloon. Balloon, of course, comes to mind. But, well, I think that Caliber is definitely a player that hasn't necessarily been doing as well lately, and it seems like most of his gameplay, or most of the time he's been playing more on the side of just trying to have a little bit of fun. So I don't necessarily think he's coming into this saying, I'm gonna be the one that wins DreamHack Montreal, not just qualifies for it. I don't think he's really thinking that in his head, but you know what? If he can get a nice upset over here, I'm sure he would be very happy with it. We'll see if these players are going to be ready for game number 2. The winner of this, by the way, is going to be moving on to a qualifying match. And that qualifying match is going to be versus the winner of Bioice versus Drunken Boy, which is a sick ZBT that's happening. Man, I'm pretty envious that I can't also watch that game. It's just, the bracket ends so early. I feel like it's such a short day. And because of that, I'm a little bit sad. Let's see. Okay, so taking a look, we do have a lot of other bracket updates. Jon Snow is sitting around waiting for his opponent. We have Lucky versus Nice, Mechanic versus Halfbreed, Raze versus Neuro. Those are all round of 32 matches. We have No Regret advancing on over Kel and is now waiting in the qualifying match as far as I'm aware. Everything I say about that qualifying match thing is tentative because, okay, I'm confirming it because it says that match is the best of 5. Probe versus Warren is a round of 32 match. Puck versus Schnitzel is happening. Eric versus Yours. EJK is waiting for the winner of Qualifier versus Nistic. And it looks like it's Nistic. The bracket updated. I was talking about it. Jim Rising versus Fitzy here. Ruff versus Azure. And State advanced on to a qualifying match over NYK. Is going to play versus the winner of Tag Your Pregnant versus Rex. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping into it as we check things out. I don't know what this chat is for, but here we go. Spawning up in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the yellow Terran player. Give it up for Cray Squad's Jason, sitting up 1-0. And his opponent spawned down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, the pink Protoss player, formerly of Team Root, but now just plays for his own pride. It's Caliber, aka Slayer's Boner. I'm like 90% sure it's Slayer's Boner. This is my recollection that Caliber goes by the name Slayer's Boner now. But I'm only about 90% sure. There's a 10% chance I'm wrong. I'm gonna just put that disclaimer out there in case I'm absolutely wrong about this. Well, we got natural expansion coming out for both of these players, so Caliber not necessarily looking to just go all in and cannon rush once again. Oh, big shout out to Scoo2R. Thank you so much for the 9-month resub. And by the way, guys, if I miss any resubs, I do I seriously apologize. I don't have Twitch alerts or anything, so I pretty much just rely on looking at the chat when the resub happens. But okay. And by the way, if you want the best chance of me seeing a resub, if you really want to know, is probably during the break, right when the ad break starts. If you hit the resub button, I'll probably just be looking at the chat as we're sitting out of game and getting stuff ready. But okay, we got a second barracks coming up pretty quickly behind this for Jason. Not going to go for any super fast factory starport teching up, going for like a fast widow mine drop or a liberator harassment that's coming out. Instead, just going to be focusing on getting out the additional barracks, getting out additional barracks units like the Marines and everything, and potentially just going for a faster stim. We do have a starport coming out. Or sorry, I keep saying starport today. I don't know why. I'm a Protoss player. I'd normally call a Terran starport a Stargate. But seems like that's something that's happening today. Stargate's coming out for Caliber. And he's likely going to be going up for, I would say, that Phoenix play again, but he may be going for an Oracle opening first. I really do enjoy watching a lot of Protoss players that go for the Phoenix plays, just because I feel like it's so versatile in terms of being able to put some light bits of pressure on your opponent, keeping an eye on them without having to worry about, oh, they're going to scan my observer, I'm going to lose it. And also, you get to take out Liberators and Medevacs. You shut down your opponent's ability to continue pressure on you. And it looks like it is going to be that initial Phoenix. And I really, really do like the play of more Protoss players going for those Phoenix plays. It's something that is not the most common thing to see, but it is one of those things that I feel like certain players tend to do it a lot more often than others. Well, we finally have the factory and the starport going up. We got a reactor coming out on that factory, likely to get out a couple of those Widow Mines. Sometimes I've seen some Terran players like to get out maybe 2 Hellions or something, just be annoying, run to the natural and try and kill off a couple of probes and be cheeky with it or something, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be super duper likely right now, as the factory finishes up the reactor pretty soon. And he's going to be throwing down an engineering bay behind it, playing a little bit safe, just taking a look at the vision of these two players. Jason has basically seen, hey, you got a natural expansion. Cool, you're not cannon rushing me this game. But, yeah, looks like he is going to be making those... Oh, you just... I didn't realize. Yeah, he's making the reactor for the starport, of course. That's a very common thing for Terran players to do. Although I do sort of like when Terran players maybe just make the first set of Widow Mines, 2 Widow Mines from that factory, and then swap it over the reactor to the starport to get out that 1 medevac. You go for the 1 medevac, you drop the 2 Widow Mines, do put on a little bit of pressure, especially if you haven't done anything this game. But Jason's pretty content with just getting up a very, I would almost say, abnormally large number of Marines. And you can see it's even more than the 16 Marines that can fit in these 2 medevacs. So this is going to be a pretty scary and large push-in. The Phoenixes are going to be pretty nice for scouting this out, not necessarily for taking out the medevacs, as they may eventually be able to take out the medevacs if they are not very well positioned, if they don't immediately start dropping out those Marines. But more importantly, it's just the idea that's going to give them that slightly advanced notice. The Marines are unloading and getting into position. Doesn't look like Jason's going to try and go straight into the main base. He's going to go for a push at the front. Photon overcharge is going to be available, but the pylon gets immediately focus fire down. Stim comes out, and he's already starting to focus fire down the Nexus. There's not that much DPS over here for Slayer's Boner. And Caliber does manage to push it back. The Immortal and the Adepts definitely adding in a lot of DPS over there. The Immortal not necessarily so much for just raw DPS, but just the fact that it can absorb a lot of that burst damage that comes out from Stim Marines. Hidden Nexus coming out over here from Slayer's Boner. Cheeky. You know what? This pairs really well with the fact that he went for these Phoenix and has actively gone out of his way to reveal them, as he did bring them over to the fight, even if they didn't really play an active role in it. Because now, knowing that there are Phoenix out on the map, Jason is most likely, not every Terran player feels this way, but he's most likely going to be much more conservative about going out for drops. Because he doesn't want those drops to just run into the Phoenix, get them picked off, and lose everything for absolutely nothing. So that means it's a lot less likely this expansion will get scouted. So this play really does pair up quite well. A couple of these SCVs going to be picked off as they were busy trying to build some of these barracks, pretty much halting the production for a little bit, and even actually halting the 3rd Command Center for a little bit, which is definitely really nice. And of course, getting a scout on the 3rd Command Center is also a really nice play. Jason scans over the 3rd location, says, oh, well, he's not going for a 3rd yet, so I'm probably in a really good position to just sit back. But guess what? There's already a 3rd finished up over here, Jason. You have no idea about it, but you are not super far ahead on economy. In fact, I would say you're pretty close to even. Maybe you got a slight lead just because of mules right now with even workers. A couple of Marines making their way across the map. And it's also worth noting that the Tempest production has started up. We had a Fleet Beacon going up a little bit earlier, and I wanted to wait to see what he was going to make, and it looks like the Tempests are going to be a really, really interesting decision. I guess it pairs well with the Colossus that he's also making, because Colossus is also a slightly odd decision to be going for right now. Phoenix do pick up the Marine, just trying to shut down a bit of that map vision. Jason is being really active about moving these Marines around the map. I think that he smells something suspicious is going on. He's sending a Marine down to the bottom right-hand corner. He's scanning again. He sees that a pylon's there, but where is the Nexus? You gotta be doing something, as he doesn't really see the big 2-base all-in coming, and he's poked in at the front and saw this doesn't really seem like a big enough army to really do something effective. This is also a bit of a weird composition. So it's possible, I don't know if it's true, but Jason may underestimate how many resources Caliber has, because this is a very unordinary army to be going for this quickly. Colossus, it happens, but not incredibly frequently, but Tempest at the same time that you're building up that Colossus count is an extremely greedy and expensive thing to do. So Jason may underestimate and say, well, it seems like that's a pretty expensive thing to do. You probably, I guess you don't have enough resources for 3rd expansion. You're just going to try and hit me with a big late game maxed out army, even if it's going to be hitting very, very late. It's going to be just such a powerful army that you'll win in one foul swoop. So that may be Jason's thought process over here. He's going to try and knock down these rocks, put on a bit of pressure. The Colossus do have Thermal Lance, I hope. Yes, Thermal Lance is research. +1 weapons is not research, though, and that definitely does hurt, especially for the Colossus, who do not do nearly as much damage as they used to in Art of the Swarm. Oh, God, the Widow Mines! Oh, those are the dirtiest Widow Mines! I had full vision of those Widow Mines, and I had no idea they were there, as they were kind of obscured by the rocks. Poor Caliber. Probably wants to make an observer at some point, as he has been just focusing on those Colossus. But, you know, getting out 5 Colossus first, I don't blame him too much. But he is still, regardless of whether or not this third expansion was scouted, it's not really fully saturated by any means. He's only just now starting to send some of those workers over. So I would still definitely give Jason a pretty nice economic advantage as well as upgrade advantage. The big thing is, Jason's army is traditional bio. He's got maybe a couple of Vikings and these Liberators in the mix, but against a large number of Colossus and Tempest, I do think that if Caliber can continue this sort of trend of army composition, and Jason just continues his trend, Caliber's gonna have a just straight up better army. But oh, did Jason figure it out? Did he see workers transferring? Did he see something? He's moving all of his units over here. He is gonna scout this out, and he immediately knows that's a dead third command, or third Nexus, and unfortunately that is right after the probe transfer too, so he's gonna end up losing every single one of these probes. No way that they're going to be able to get out of here alive. And this is going to trigger Caliber to say, let's move across the map. A couple of these Widow Mines are going to alert Jason to say, hey, you don't have that much time to sit and dawdle around over here. You got to get back and you got to get ready to defend. But will Caliber already be in a pretty good position before that point? The Phoenix move in and scout ahead. They see, oh, you don't have anything over here in your natural expansion just yet. I have time to move up over here. I can get to a nice spot. Scan goes down and Caliber backs out. Very, very interesting decision. I wonder what made him decide to do that. Is he afraid that he won't be able to take on a straight up engagement? I can kind of see maybe a bit of the fear for that. There's a lot of Vikings and the Liberators also in the mix. This army honestly will end up clumping up quite a bit. The Tempest alone will end up clumping up on top of the Colossus, and the Liberators are surprisingly enough going to be able to do some nice damage to them. But with a lot of these units being able to just roast that Bioforce, I feel like the Colossus are going to reign supreme. The problem is there's just not enough ground to take out the Vikings. Maybe? Oh my god, Caliber, he still has the Stalkers alive despite them being on the front line. He takes out all of the Vikings. All of the Liberators are going to get taken out. The Tempest also able to deal with those Vikings. And now with 3 Colossus still left over and a handful of Stalkers, more reinforcing Tempest coming in. Did Caliber just seriously do this? He loses the third, but he takes the game. Caliber with the sickest of tech ups, the Colossus Tempest. That was pretty sick. I'm really, really happy with that game. What a unordinary and unorthodox style to go for that composition so quickly. I mean, you do see players who go for very fast Tempest because they want to preempt that Liberator production, also just harass. But you usually get Storm or something behind it. And you also see the players that get up Colossus in fairly large numbers and try and speed those out, maybe even out of double Robo or something, to try and get up a large enough number to deal with the bio, force out Vikings and such. But rarely do you see both happening at the same time, and the hidden Nexus in the corner, which I will admit, I think even though it wasn't fully saturated, the gas was one of the most important parts of that. Okay, let's see. Map 3. Okay, Frozen Temple is going to be the last map. Frozen Temple. I want to note again, the winner of this, I believe, let's double check this, is going to be moving on to a qualifying match. It is going to be a qualifying match versus the winner of BioIce versus Drunken Boy. Alright, so we invite Jason into the game. We invite Caliber into the game. Caliber, not Caliber. Right. No build order. Pop him into the right spot. And we should be good to go. All right, I think as soon as the players give the ready, it looks like we're going to take a very, very short break. We're going to hop to a quick commercial break. We'll see you guys in just a little bit on Frozen Temple. Actually, hold that thought. It looks like the players are ready. Never mind. We're good to go. We're hopping straight into the map intro. All right, we're tied up 1-1 and heading into the ace match. Get your ace matches out in the chat if you have them. As we start here in game number 3, up in the top left-hand corner of the map, the yellow Terran player representing Team Cray Squad. Give it up for Cray Squad's Jason. And his opponent spawned down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the pink Protoss player from representing Team America, formerly of Team Random, and now currently one of my favorite Protoss players from today. Give it up for Caliber, aka Slayer's Boner. Oh my, we got another cannon rush. Pylon already scouted out. The photon cannon is not going down just yet. Probe comes back in over here. He's gonna plant down the first photon cannon and has another probe up on the high ground. This time he's learned his lesson. He's brought 2 probes to the fight, and there's not a lot of workers mining right now for Jason. He's really just focusing on taking out all of these pylons, and the Caliber still has these probes alive, and he's not really producing any additional workers behind it. He loses one of the workers. The first Marine is about to pop out, and I think that this cannon rush is going to be ended without really accomplishing almost anything. He loses 2 of the pylons, and this is just an absolutely successful hold over here from Jason. Probe is going to get taken out, and with the gas mining over here, I really do feel like Jason, if you make the Reaper, you make the Reaper, there's nothing your opponent can do. You're either going to force out a photon cannon early on, or I guess at least check to see if they have photon cannon, because guess what? That Reaper can probably kill off a decent chunk of probes before the photon cannon finishes up. Or you're just going to get an enormous lead in the game. Actually, forcing out a photon cannon will also give you a pretty good lead in the game. But next is going to come up. SCV does move down and finally scouts out to see, okay, Caliber, what have you done so far? He sees gateways there, but no cybernetics core, and he should immediately know, yeah, I can play as greedy as I want right now. He takes his natural expansion. He's going to try and play a little bit catch up on that since it is a good bit later, but with the factory already starting up as well, maybe he can do something similar to that game number 1 on King Sejong Station. All right, well, SCV makes its way back across the map. What is Caliber's game plan? I mean, that last game, the way that he won that, there was a little bit of the surprise factor that came into the mix with Colossus Tempest coming out so gosh darn quickly. But at the same time, I don't really know if he can do something like that when he's playing from so far behind. Really fast Twilight Council coming out. I feel like this may be, I mean, this is most likely for one of the 3 things. I'm pretty sure it is for one of the 3 things. It's going to be for either Blink, Resonating Glaives, or for a Fast Dark Shrine. And I don't know if I hate any one of those. Blink may be a nice option, especially since it is Frozen Temple. There's a really nice area to blink up into the main base to get some nice harassment done. Keep your opponent at home for a bit. Dark Shrine can also similarly have a good effect, where if you also get up a Robuxility, and yeah, it is going to be a Dark Shrine hidden over in the corner, but if he gets out a Robo, you can pair that up with a Warp Prism and do a lot of really good damage. Even if it is coming out much later, you have to remember that stuff like Stim is going to be very far delayed, and that's just going to keep Jason at home for a bit. Caliber's already been able to catch up in the worker count, so this may not go too terribly for him if he can find a way to just defend against Jason and also be able to put on a little bit of pressure to keep him honest. The big problem is that he's just going to be so far down in that army supply. Well, 1DT, if there are no scans available when this army makes its way to the other side of the map, that could be a huge problem. And even if, I would say, there is a scan available, he may have to decide between using it on his offensive or backing up on the offensive and using it defensively to make sure that he's not taking damage back at home. Probe does move out and scouts out the army moving around, and we immediately see Caliber moving his Stalker up to the main base. He does have 1 Photon Overcharge available. Bunkers going down. Oh, this is really cute, and I love it. Siege Tank's also in the mix, and the Mother Core is going to try and take out whatever it can, as he knows that Mother Core is going to be safe for at least a little bit. Warp Gate is finishing up over here, so he can get those fast warp-ins for the DTs. Blink is also coming up behind all of this. He's trying to add on some more gateways. Is he going to warp in the DTs offensively? Yes, he is. He's warping in 2 on the other side of the map. He knows he has a little bit more time. Marines do take out the pylon, and that was the last safety defense over here. Cyclone locks onto the Nexus, and guess what? There are exactly 2 scans available right now, but are they going to be utilized? A couple of SCVs already going downside, both the main base and the natural expansion. Liberator is made and sieged up over there, but it is not in range for attacking that Dark Templar. So the Dark Templar is going to continue to reign supreme. Another DT on this side of the map able to take out these bunkers, and Caliber is making this work. He's already leading up 7 workers. Sure, he lost his natural expansion, but what can Jason do? He's trying to utilize the medevacs to the best of his capabilities, but the bunkers are going down, and these SCVs are also getting target fired down to make sure that he cannot repair them or rebuild them. So many workers have gone down, even going to the supply depot. I guess not the best control right now, but he is trying to focus on controlling DTs on multiple fronts. These are the saving grace right now for Caliber. When is the next scan going to be available? The scan is available now. We have 2 scans available. One goes down on top of the DTs that are trying to kill off the siege tanks, and it does manage to save the Cyclone. The Nexus tries to go up. That is a ballsy Nexus right now, but Caliber is looking to defend it. He takes out the Cyclone with the Stalkers. Stalkers do have blink. They can blink forward to try and take out this siege tank. He does not decide to do so. Oh my god, those probes getting so low on health. The DT able to take out these SCVs trying to build missile turrets, but there is a missile turret inside the mineral line. So finally, Jason's able to establish a good defensive location. He needs to build another missile turret over here in the natural expansion. Scan goes down. He should be able to take out this DT just because it is not running away. If it was running away, I think he would have been able to keep it alive for a little bit longer. There is the blink, and he is able to take out that siege tank. Caliber loses more of those SCVs, so I don't know if this is even for him anymore. He lost all the DTs as well, and now there are missile turrets up. How do you sort of equalize and come back from that situation? Because now there's going to be Liberator harassment. And guess what? Caliber is moved across the map. Oh, does he catch wind of this? He does see the Liberator. If he was paying attention to it, he knows that there's a Liberator moving along that side. But he's going to continue to go in for the aggressive play anyways. He blinks a Stalker up. He tries to get the high ground vision. He doesn't get the high ground vision. And that ends up making him take a lot more hits than he should have. He still managed to get the snipe off on the medevac and the siege tank. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage over here. At the same time, though, the Liberator going to be able to make its way across the map, doing a ton of damage over here. GLHF, Caliber ends up tapping out. He sees the Liberators coming on in. Or maybe he's saying GLHF right now. I don't know if this is a form of BM or if he's giving up the game right now, but I think that he's in a decent spot. He's taking out so many of these workers. Is Caliber being BM, or does he actually realize they can't really mine anymore? He needs to warp in more Stalkers back at home, but he doesn't have any economy to do it. He can only warp in 2 Stalkers back at home. He only has so many, one Stalker. He doesn't have enough minerals for the other Stalker. He's gonna warp that in. He can eventually try and position it at a nice angle, but no, I think he warped it in aggressively. He's gonna go into a straight up base trade. He's taken out all the SCVs. 23 workers have gone down so far. There is a Widow Mine that cannot be detected at all by any means whatsoever. That's gonna be a very valuable Widow Mine. And Jason is not lifting up the command center. He's not lifting up the command center. He's not lifting up the command center. Long distance mining coming up. Oh, that's a really smart idea. He should be able to get up enough, and there are those 2 Stalkers. He blinks forward. He's gonna be able to take out the Liberator. GG gets called. Jason taps out, and Caliber takes it in the base trade after the failed cannon rush. Holy cow. That was an interesting series, and I don't know if that was BM from Caliber. If it was, I'm gonna ignore it for now. I'm gonna assume that he had a moment of thought where he was like, oh geez, this is not gonna be a fun moment for me as the Liberators came on in. I'm gonna choose to assume he wasn't being BM there. But big congratulations to Caliber. He moves on to the next round and is gonna face off versus Drunken Boy in a qualifying match. We may just hop straight into that match because that sounds awesome. Puck is playing versus Probe. I think if we just go straight into that match, we may be able to cover another 1 or 2 of the qualifying matches. So we'll be back in a little bit, guys. We'll see you very, very shortly with the next round.